friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen. Welcome if this is your first time stopping by. Today we are going to talk about the 6 books and the 2 in progress books that I have read in January. If you hear tippy tappies, my dogs are bothering me today. They just want so much attention. If you are a dog lover, I have 2 doggos. This is Daisy May, who does not like to be held, but Daisy and Raya are my 2 dogs. And yeah, so I just want to jump into this. There are 2 books, or no wait, there's actually 3 books I cannot show you. One I've already lent to, so one I already lent out to a family member because it was really, really good and I wanted him to read it. And then the other 2 I read on my Kindle and they were part of Kindle Unlimited. So we're going to start off with actually one of the ones that I don't have with me, and I'm going to move to the side because I'm going to pop the picture up right here. But the first book I actually finished and read in January was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Wow. Wow. This book was so good. I'd heard a lot of good things about it from booktubers, about how like it just flows really quickly. It's a quick read. Because you just never want to put down the book. It was a 5-star read for me, and the way it was written really did keep you on your toes, and the twists at the end were very unexpected. I mean, the first reveal is like not at the end, it's a little bit more like 75% of the way through. But the last reveal at the very, very end of the book left me speechless because it was something completely unexpected. But I really did enjoy the book. I thought that the suspense was really well written, and I felt like the actual reveals were not normal, like they weren't easy to guess. So I really enjoyed this read. I highly recommend it, and now I want to read more of Alice Feeney's books. Luckily, a lot of her books are on Kindle Unlimited, so they're easy for me to access, but this was by far one of the best thrillers that I've read and one of my favorite reads that I've ever read. So my second book this month was New Year's Kiss by Lee Matthews, and this is a young adult romance, I guess. But yeah, so what did I rate this? I rated this a 4 stars. It was a short book, as you can see. I think it was under 200 pages. No, actually it was more. It was 232 pages. It was really, really cute. It was about a girl named Tess and her sister Lauren are going to stay away at her grandma's, like, she kind of has a ski resort that she owns that her dad used to own. Her grandma takes it over. While her parents are going through a divorce, and it's supposed to kind of get them away from the like hustle and bustle and the moving of the parent. I think the dad is moving out, I can't really recall, but so it kind of takes them away from that to give them a step back. And then in the meantime, you know, they're processing their feelings, but Tess, which the book revolves around Tess, is the younger sister, and she has a hard time getting along with her older sister, and she feels like she's always like left behind. So she comes up with a 10 bullet point bucket list where things that she wants to complete before the beginning of the new year. And she enlists her help when she meets Christopher, and obviously there's some romance there, but it was a really, really cute read. I really enjoyed it. I thought that there was a lot of heart, and that the bucket list aspect of it gave it a lot of meaning outside of the romance, and you kind of just learn a lot through the characters and how they're learning to embrace life. And I just thought it was a really cute read. Obviously it wasn't like a 5-star read for me, but I would say it was between a 3 and a 4, probably leaning more towards a 4, just because it was kind of like philosophical in some ways and made me think about how I approach life. So I thought that this was a really good read, and if you have a need to read a young adult romance, or if you want to just pick up a really quick read, I recommend. So this is the next book I read, and I rated this one 4 stars. This is about a girl named Noelle, and She is going to a college reunion, and in that college reunion, her best friend who has recently passed, or not recently, but who had passed, left her some of her belongings in this time capsule, and one of them is a camera, and Noelle goes there because she wants to look at the camera and look at the stuff that was in the time capsule. But in the meantime, there's this massive snowstorm, and they weren't able to finish the whole time capsule dig up part of the reunion. So on the way back from this reunion, she gets stuck in a blizzard, and the roads are closed, and she is stuck, literally like parked on a highway, and it's for 8 hours, and she meets her highway neighbor Sam in the car over, and it's like the most perfect 8 hours. She pretty much falls for this guy almost right away, but you find a lot more about happenstance and how things line up throughout the book, and it was just really good. I really enjoyed this romance. It was closed doors, so there were no like super steamy scenes or anything, at least that I can remember. I don't think so, but it was a really good read. I felt that it was written really beautifully. It was an easy read-through book. I believe this was a little over 300 pages, not much over that, but a relatively short read. So I do really recommend this book if you want a good like winter read that kind of gives you the good feels. This was a really good one. So the next book that I read is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Oh, I forgot to say, this is by Leah Lewis. So there, yeah. Okay, but the next book I read was Matt Haig's The Midnight Library, and oh my god. So this is the one that I had to let my brother borrow, like literally after I finished the book. It is a sort of depressing beginning. It's about a woman who is struggling through life and finds no meaning, has nothing exciting going on for her, no love, no friendships that are strong anymore, no like familial relationships that are strong anymore, and she, you know, ends up getting laid off at her job, and she no longer needs to help her neighbor who she really enjoyed helping, and all of these things lead up to her wanting to die. And so the first few chapters of the book, she's going, you know, it's kind of, time is going backwards, like one day before she decided to die, 9 hours before she decided to die. But once she does decide to commit, I don't want to say it on here, just in case it gets like triggered or something, but so she does commit, and it brings her to this area called the Midnight Library, which is pretty much the in-between. But what's interesting about this library is that it has an immense amount of books, like an infinite amount of books, and in each book it's a different path that she could have taken in life. It could have been like the simplest decision that led her onto a different path, onto a different timeline. And so you kind of you get to see how each decision you make in life leads you down a completely different path. And do you really end up happier with those regrets that you may have had and you want to go back? Did you really end up happier, or did it not end up the way you thought it would? And so it's just a really good telling story about, you know, how to live life to the fullest and embrace what you have and love what you have. I thought it was a beautiful read. There are a lot of sad moments, and heavy moments, so there is quite a few triggers, and please look up the triggers before you read this book. But this book was one of the best reads I've ever read. I gave it 5 stars, and it was mind-changing for me. Really loved it, and if you are into kind of like learning lessons, I guess, from a book, oh, that one really got me. It was very good. It did take me a long time to kind of like get through it, but like once I was in it, and I like sped through the rest of the pages. So really do recommend that book, and that was one of my favorite reads this month, and probably for the rest of my life, to be honest. Okay, on a lighter note, the next book I read was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and this book was so hyped up over like the holidays, because I think it came out like in December or something, but it was so hyped up. Everybody was talking about it, and it sounded interesting to me. Now, I have never really read a hockey romance. It was never something that I was interested in reading. I understood that there was like a whole community of people who were obsessed with hockey romances, but I haven't read any of the Elle Kennedy, like the Deal or the Off-Campus series, I think is what it's called. But I did pick up this one, and this is a chunky book. For a romance book, this is over 400 pages. Like, it is so chunky, but oh my god, this was a 5-star read. So good. There is so much steam in this book. It was really good. Or spice, I guess, if you want to say spice. A lot of spice in this book. I loved the characters. So basically it's about this girl, Anastasia or Anastasia. I'm not really sure how you say it. She is an ice skater, and then there's a hockey team at this university, and Nate Hawkins is the captain of that hockey team. And something happens that makes them need to share a rink for the rest of the season, or for what they believe is the rest of the season. And things, you know, happen. There's a lot of like enemies to lover kind of angst, I guess you could say. And in this book, it's actually very interesting because Anastasia is the grumpy and Nate is the sunshine. But then, like, as you kind of get into the book, as the characters develop, Anastasia's partner ends up injuring himself and he can't do the couple skate, and so Nate actually jumps in and helps her. And this was I'm so excited. Like, this was just one of the best romance novels that I've read recently. Like, really, really enjoyed it. And I love the cover, first of all. I love Nate Hawkins. He is my favorite book boyfriend that I've read about so far. I mean, I have a lot more romance books to read, but Nate Hawkins is definitely up there on that list. But this one is so good, and I love the teammates. There's such a familial feeling with this like entire hockey team, and I'm pretty sure that this author is creating a series, so I'm so excited that I get to see more of these characters and read more about this entire team. And so excited to read more about these characters, more about the different relationships that these characters develop. So I just loved this book. 5 stars. Highly recommend you read it. And I'm so in love with this book. This is one that I will keep forever. And yes, this is so good. The next book I read was a thriller. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, like, my TBR for January was all over the place, but I am a mood reader. So I did have a TBR, but I also kind of switched a book out because I was actually supposed to read this time next year, this book right here. But that one has a very similar concept to 8 Perfect Hours. So I decided that I was going to take a pause from that storyline and switch to a thriller, and I picked Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, or Kubica? I think it's Kubica. So I've never read anything by this author before, but this book left me speechless. So this is about it's a domestic thriller, I believe, or domestic mystery, and it's about this story where in the beginning you have one character named Shelby who goes missing, and then there's another storyline where a woman and her daughter go missing, Meredith and Delilah, and then it kind of switches timelines to before the disappearance and after, like, you know, current day, how things are being handled. And you find out very early on that Delilah has been held kidnapped, and she's, you know, been in this basement. She escapes, and then everybody is trying to figure out, like, what happened, where's the missing piece. The twist at the end of this book, I did not see coming at all. It was really good. It was shocking. It was heartbreaking. There was, like, I was just, like, in awe. I honestly, I was just in awe. So I do recommend this book. I believe I rated this 4 stars. I sat with this for a while because originally I was going to rate it 5 stars, but it did take me a really long time to, like, get into the story. And once I did get in about like halfway through, I was, you know, speeding through the pages, but that first 50% of this book was a slow chug for me. And that is why I ended up rating it 4 stars, but I feel like the story is really well developed. It was very easy to read. There were no like super long chapters. Most of them were relatively short, and the characters in this book like told the story from so many different perspectives. It was just really, really good. So gave this 4 stars. If you want a good thriller, I really did enjoy this, and I think that this is a really good book. I do want to read more by Mary Kubica now, and I know that she's known for, I think this book says The Other Misses, so I do really want to read that one. And I think she just wrote a book called The Nicest Couple. I think it like literally just came out. That's another book I want to read from her, but did recommend this one. I think that if you really like domestic thrillers, this is a good one because the writing is really, really good. Now, the other 2 books I didn't finish this month but are leaning into the beginning of February. Today is February 1st. One is The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. This is a very interesting concept about one day at a university, a girl falls asleep and she never wakes up, and then she ends up dying, but then more and more people are falling asleep and not waking up, but when they're taken to the hospital and the doctors are watching them, they're noticing that there's more brain activity going on in these sleeping individuals in this dreamlike catatonic state than even alive individuals. And so they're trying to figure out what's causing it, and they're still in this huge contagion of people just getting more and more sick with this disease and not having a way to control it or know how to fix it. So I'm about 60% of the way through. It is really, really good. It's told by multiple POVs, and it's also told, like, there's a ton of different characters. There's like, there's a doctor, there is the college students, there's a family with a new infant, there's 2 daughters and their dad, and then there's a old professor and his lover, I believe. I think it's his lover. That story part is a little confusing to me. They haven't spent a lot of time on that character, but it's really, really good so far. I'm probably going to finish this either today or tomorrow. But this one is really good, and I'd never heard anything about the author, but honestly, like, this cover like completely sold me, and I was like, sounds like a really interesting book. So that is my current read, as well as on my Kindle I'm reading The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab, and I'm about 50% of the way through this one, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm not someone who's really into like historical stories, to be honest, but I'm really enjoying the narration, the concept of this book, and where it's leading. I will do a full review on it when I finish it, because I know it's a very well-known book, but I can't speak on it too much yet because I'm really only halfway through and there's a lot more to read. But yeah, so that is the book I'm reading, and that one is available on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm reading that one. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I read this month and what your thoughts were, and I'm curious if you have any good recommendations, like based off of these books, like what other books I should read. I do want to do a video where I read all of your favorite books, so if you could comment down below all of your favorite books, please do so I can either pick them up, or if I have them already, read them, and I can do a little vlog about that. But yeah, I really felt good about this month's reading. I feel like the books that I read were good. I didn't write anything lower than a 4 star. So I would say that that's a pretty good reading month for me, and a good way to kick off 2023. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button down below. But if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you want to see next, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. I love you guys so much. Bye.